Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day today. And mixing me up a little herbicide, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I've got some spot spraying I need to do around the edges of my yard. I really don't have any weeds in the yard. I rarely get broadleaf weeds in my yard. It's so thick. But what happens is around the edges of the road, you know, where stuff blows from the neighbors or it washes down the street from rain, it'll collect up against the grass, and I'll get a few little broadleaves here and there. Touch of pole annual along the edge, nothing major, but I'm like my yard pristine, so we're gonna go out here and spray these, and I'm gonna explain the difference between spot spraying and blanket spraying. The dogs are going crazy right now. So I'm just kind of walking down through here looking for any weeds. And of course, I don't even know why I'm walking down through here, because there's none out here. There's a few right down through here. And you know, you can do one of two things. You can blanket spray, which is mix up enough material, cover the entire yard with your herbicide. And a lot of times you can mix that in with your, you know, your nitrogen, your NPK, your whatever it is you're mixing up to spray. You just kind of mix it in there with it. Or if you're going to spot spray, that means I'm going to spray individual spots of weeds. Now that might mean the entire roadside, but that would be one spot. I'm just not going over the entire yard. I'm just controlling weeds where I see them in the individual spot. So that's kind of the difference between spot spraying and blanket spraying. Blanket, again, meaning you're going to blanket the entire yard with a herbicide. And how do you decide which one you're going to do? Well, that's super easy. It all depends on how many weeds you got. If you've got a few little weeds here and there like I do, or it's just a little bit along the edge, then spot spraying.
What are you doing?
Hey man, what's up? Spot spraying is definitely the thing for you to do there. But if you got a yard and you have a lot of weeds in it, you know, they're just randomly scattered throughout the yard, then it probably makes more sense to blanket spray so that you don't miss any of them, okay? Because at the end of the day, that's what you want to do, is you want to make one application, clean the yard up as good as you can, and then maintain that throughout the rest of the year. Now on this edge right here, absolutely nothing. Not the first weed down through here, which is wonderful. I like that. I know for a fact there's none out in the grass. This right here is my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, their yard. And my company actually does the treatments on here, on this turf. And my company mows it for them too. And you can see this whole edge right here is just loaded with poa annua. Of course, that comes from up and down the street. Every daggone yard up through here, except mine, has got poa annua all up and down the road. And of course, it's short-lived. It goes away when it gets hot. But I'm trying to find something to control it. And I've had some folks locally here tell me about a herbicide that they've actually been having really good luck with. So I'm out here giving it a test run, and I already know you're going to ask me, well, what is it? I want to know what it is. Well, I ain't going to tell you, and the reason I'm not going to tell you is because I know how this game works. Pete said this stuff controls poa annua and works good. You know how when one person says something and then it gets down the line, it's a totally completely different story. And then somebody buys this stuff and then it don't control the poa annua. Then it comes back on me and says, well, Pete said it worked good. And when I ain't said such a thing, I can't stand when people put words in my mouth. It drives me freaking crazy. So I'm gonna keep it to myself for a minute, and when I see the results in 2 weeks, if it does well, I will absolutely swing back around to you, show you the results, and all that good stuff. Out here in my bluegrass, this herbicide is safe for fescue and safe for bluegrass both. So I'm just kind of walking around. I got a new spray wand right here. It probably won't be too much longer. I'll have these on the website. And it's just kind of an upgraded spray wand that goes on your flow zone. I've been testing it out quite a bit and I absolutely love it. I think you'll like it too, so that's why I'm gonna buy up a bunch of them and put them on the website. But I know for a fact I've got some clover out here, little spots here and there, and I'm also looking for the poa annua. Now if you remember last spring out here, I took my little pro plugger gizmo, and man, I went to town out here. I had a bunch of poa annua out here, and believe it or not, that hard work has paid off. I think when I'm mowing, I look for that stuff. I think, best of my knowledge, last time I mowed, I've been counting, and I may have had like 4 individual clumps of it, is it. And I ain't had time to get out here with the pro plugger and pull those up. So, but the good thing about that is now I have an opportunity to spray it with this herbicide, and we will see how it does. And again, this ain't me telling you that this is the fix for poa annua, because I don't know that. I'm just getting word from some of my suppliers that it's doing a dang good job on it. So ain't but one way to find out. Here's a couple little chunks of it right there. Just hit that up. Like I said, my neighbors over here, my brother-in-law, his whole roadside is lined with it. And you can go down my neighborhood here, every single yard, just about every single yard has poa annua in it. Not in it, excuse me. I said that wrong. Just about every yard has poa annua lining the edge of the yard where it butts up against the road. And of course, that's just from where wind blows it down the street, water blows, makes it go down the street or whatever. That's a piece of Dallas grass coming up already. Can you believe that? I'm telling you, things are happening early this year in the yard. I've got to make my mind up if I'm going to sand level this or compost level it or something. I got to make my mind up so I can get out here and do that. But what I'm hitting right here, poa annua. So that's 1, 2, 3 clumps I've sprayed of it so far. And I'm telling you, there was a ton of it here last spring. So all that hard work, pro plugging, it really made a big difference. It really took it out big time. Of course, I bagged. That's another really good horticultural way to control it, is you bag the seed heads, because the seed head, the little white seed head on top of the plant, is what populates for next year's crop. So you eliminate next year's crop, or you eliminate a lot of next year's crop by collecting and bagging the seed heads. And I was just hyper anal about that last year, about doing that, bagging the clippings out here, and it absolutely worked. That along with the Pro Plugger. Get tongue twisted, tongue tied, I can't say that. But this is what's called spot spraying, because I don't have a need to blanket spray, because I just don't have enough weeds out here to justify mixing up enough herbicide to come out here and blanket the entire area. So I'm walking around catching the little individual spots. Now, we do this a little bit differently in Pro World. My company does it different than others, I guess. I guess some pro applicators spot spray in the spring, but we blanket spray everything in the springtime. Everything. Because we sign up new yards, you know, that kind of thing, and some of them are in really rough shape, and then right down the street may be a yard we've been treating for 10 years and it ain't got a weed in it. So it's just more efficient for us to mix the stuff in the round 1 or round 2 app and just go ahead and blanket the entire thing. So, well, that fast I'm done. You can see there's really no weeds over here. Whoop. Oh, there's a poa annual right there. And there's a little clover right there. And there's a dandelion. I cannot believe I got a dandelion. I typically don't get dandelions in my yard, but I got one right over there. But it's as good as gone now. All right, I think that's it. All I've got left to do is this little section back here. I can call it a day. Whoops, I missed that one. But a little bit of clover, one dandelion. That's pretty much it, other than a couple little handful of spots of poa annua here and there. So that's the difference between spot spraying and blanket spraying. I hope that helps you make your mind up as to which one you want to do in your own yard. Hi. Hey! So how often do I blanket spray or spot spray? Well, I do it as often as needed. Typically, let's see, what are we, March? Let's see, it's March 24th, so we're going into springtime. Typically, I'll do it now, and then I'll check the yard out again into April, something like that. And by then, as long as I've done a good job at spot spraying, I didn't miss anything, both the bluegrass and the fescue, they both can be spotless clean. And they'll stay that way all year, all summer, up until it gets time for nutsedge. And then spurge kind of shows up a little bit around that time frame. A little bit of spurge will kind of show up along the edge. Never get crabgrass. My grass is way too thick for crab. And then plus I couple that with pre-emergent applications. So those two are kind of a combo defense against the crab. So I never get that in the yard any. But that's it. I mean, other than that, I don't deal with weeds. I just think that goes to the health of the turf being so thick and so dense. It does a whole lot of crowding out and choking out. So hope that helped in some way. Again, I'll give you my word. I'll keep a very tight eye, especially on my two neighbors that I sprayed, where the poa annua is very dense and thick along the edges. I'm going to look at that daily and kind of see the progression of how this herbicide affects it. So who knows, might work, might not. Either way, I'll let you know. As always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch. I'll check you later.